You wake up already tired. Not the kind of tired that comes from doing too much, but the kind that sits deep in your body before the day even begins. You haven't run anywhere. You haven't lifted anything heavy. You haven't even started yet. And still, something in you feels drained. You tell yourself maybe you just need more sleep, more discipline, more motivation. But no matter how much you rest, the exhaustion doesn't leave. It lingers quietly like a background noise you've learned to live with, and that's where the confusion starts. Because how can you feel so tired when you're not actually doing anything? What you're experiencing isn't laziness, it isn't weakness. And it isn't a personal failure. It's psychological fatigue. A form of exhaustion that doesn't come from action, but from constant internal tension. From always being on. From never fully standing down. Even when your body is still, your mind is working overtime, scanning for problems, replaying conversations, anticipating outcomes, rehearsing futures that haven't happened yet. Rest in this state doesn't recharge you. It just gives your thoughts more space to run. From the outside, it looks like you're inactive. But internally, you're carrying a heavy cognitive load. You're monitoring how you're perceived. You're managing expectations. You're questioning your choices. You're comparing your pace to everyone else's. You're holding unfinished decisions open in your mind, afraid to close them in case you choose wrong. And all of that consumes energy. Real energy. The kind your nervous system uses to keep you alert, guarded, and ready to respond, even when there's no immediate threat. Psychology calls this a prolonged stress response. Not the dramatic kind where something bad happens, but the subtle, chronic kind where your system never fully returns to baseline. Your body doesn't know how to relax anymore because it learned that relaxation wasn't safe, or productive, or allowed. Somewhere along the way, you internalize the idea that stillness equals falling behind. That rest must be earned. That doing nothing is dangerous. So even when you stop, your system doesn't. This often begins early. In environments where emotional safety wasn't consistent, your nervous system adapted by staying alert. You learn to read moods, to anticipate reactions, to adjust yourself to avoid conflict or disappointment. Over time, that vigilance became automatic. You don't consciously decide to do it anymore. Your body just does. And decades later, you're exhausted, not because you're doing too much, but because you're never truly off duty. This is why traditional advice doesn't work. Just relax. Take a break. Be more productive. None of it addresses the root issue because the problem isn't your schedule. It's your internal state. You don't feel tired because you're inactive. You feel tired because your system is constantly regulating itself, containing emotions, suppressing impulses, staying composed, staying acceptable, staying ready. There's also the weight of identity. In your 20s especially, life feels like a series of open tabs. Who you should become, what you should want. Whether you're behind, whether you're wasting time. Whether this choice will lock you into the wrong future. Even rest becomes stressful when it feels like you're pausing something important. Like every quiet moment is time you should be using to figure things out. So instead of resting, you ruminate. Instead of restoring, you rehearse. This mental labor is invisible, but it's expensive. It drains you in ways sleep can't fix. Because sleep restores the body, but safety restores the nervous system. And many people have never learned how to feel safe doing nothing. Safe not improving. Safe not performing. Safe not proving their worth through effort. There's also the emotional backlog. The feelings you never fully processed because there was no space to. The disappointments you minimized. The needs you ignored. The grief you postponed. When you finally slow down, all of it rises to the surface. And instead of feeling calm, you feel overwhelmed. So you stay busy, or mentally busy. Because being tired feels more familiar than being still with yourself. But here's the thing. This exhaustion isn't a flaw. It's a signal. A sign that your system has been working hard for a long time. Protecting you. Adapting for you. Caring more than it should have had to. And the goal isn't to push through it. The goal is to listen to it differently. Healing doesn't start with doing more. It starts with allowing less. Less pressure. Less self-surveillance. Less urgency. It starts with moments where you don't try to optimize rest, but simply allow it to be neutral, unproductive, unimpressive, safe. And this is where it gets interesting. When you begin to feel less tired, it won't be because you suddenly fixed your life. It will be because your nervous system learned that nothing bad happens when you pause. That you're allowed to exist without effort. That your worth isn't tied to motion. Here's the truth, and it's important to hear it clearly. You're not tired because you're failing. You're tired because you've been surviving in a world that rarely teaches people how to truly rest. Especially those who learned early that being calm wasn't an option. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more motivation. You don't need to push harder. What you need is permission. Permission to stop proving. Permission to soften. Permission to let your system come back online slowly, gently, without forcing it. The tiredness will lift not all at once, but in moments. Small moments where you feel slightly less tense, slightly less guarded, slightly more present. And over time, those moments add up. They remind you that rest isn't something you earn after life is figured out. It's something you practice while you're still figuring it out. And maybe that's the quiet shift. Not becoming someone more productive, but becoming someone more at ease inside their own mind. Someone who no longer needs to be exhausted to feel valid. Someone who can finally rest, not because everything is done, but because they are safe enough to stop.